Maybe. Oh,
Hello, everybody. We've been expecting you. I am your host. What?
nothing.
Me and me and my evil cat over here have been expecting you. So today's episode of oh, I forgot. I am one of your hosts, Deacon, here with the very problematic.
Problematic. Ashley Oracle. And we're so happy you made it back safely from your quest.
Yeah, the quest was a success.
How's your donkey?
After I gave him some of the stuff that I was questing for, cocaine. He got right up and we flew through the
No.
sky. I said, give me some of that cocoa. Flew through the
Oh,
clouds.
no.
And then after we were done, people were like, damn, the streets really have you down, don't they? And he looked at the camera and he was like, streets killed me. Anyway, so today's episode,
Oh, donkey. Okay.
today's episode is on black dogs or hellhounds, whatever you want to call them. They have a lot of different names. The crazy thing about
I
this
have a
topic is
favorite
that
one.
do you now?
I do have a favorite one. One that I recently discovered. I think it's in, I want to say it's in Europe. They call them fairy hounds.
Oh, does he have like a purse? Does he like complain about it always being hot? When it gets too hot, does he tie his shirt in a knot and go back outside?
Okay, when I read fairy hounds, here's what I pictured. I pictured the black dog, right? But I pictured his eyes being like glittery pink and then having like glittery pink stripes in the hair and stuff. And then instead of like having fire surrounding it, have it be like glitter pink sparkles.
So he would look like
That's a fairy hound.
a member of that band that sings Karma Chameleon, whatever the hell it is. Anyway,
What?
was it the B-52s? I don't know what the hell the name was of the band. Anyway,
I
that
don't
doesn't
even know
matter.
what song you're talking about.
Uh, for those of you that are older, you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, you're too much of a young pup to get it.
I am literally a year younger than you.
A young pup. Anyway, so how old are you? 35? When I was
I
your age, I was 47. So yeah, no, it's a topic that
we're gonna fight
every
later.
no, we're not. We'll play a two-hit game. I hit you, you hit the ground. Um, so every culture has it's yeah, I would gladly say that every like major culture actually has their own versions of a black dog. So it's pretty interesting because what you get a lot of the times is crossover from culture to culture. For example, when you look at something like the legend of the what is the that famous ship, the Flying Dutchman, right? The legend of the Flying Dutchman, and that's
Oh
you know
yeah.
the unmanned ship that's cursed, and and then you go to places like Portugal, and they don't call it the Flying Dutchman. It's more of called like Death Ship or something. And then you go deeper down to the Caribbean, and they have like same principle, same thing. But these are cultures that interacted with each other, right? So they had like
Yeah.
legends that were spread. So it's not the same thing with the black dog or the hellhound. For example, in El Salvador we have what's called el cadejo. El cadejo is it's a black dog, and the story is interesting because you get two versions of the story. You get the version of the story pre colonization, and then you get post. So
Oh, interesting.
you get, for example, pre colonization. You get Same principle. You have your black dog and you have your white dog, and the god of death, Tlaloc created a dog to go out there and basically. Okay, so actually, I got that mixed up. So you have the god of life. The god of life created like a white dog to help mankind with their endeavors. It's like you guys are having such a hard time. Here's a dog wherever he steps. Crops will flourish and things will be successful, right? So then the god of death, Tlaloc, was like, I think that's too easy, and I can't believe you're doing that for these disgusting human beings. So he created the black dog, which does the opposite. Wherever he steps, there's desolation, right?
So is it bad that
He's
I would trust the black one over the white one?
would it be would it I think it would be not advisable for a couple of reasons. Number one, let's
Oh,
say
come
that
on.
let's say that you worked um to make a harvest, right? And you've been working on your crops, you have this successful crop, and you're like, wow, you know our work has paid off. Look at all these crops. All of a sudden, a black dog walks across your field, and everything just starts to die, and you're like, wow, now we're all gonna starve.
Well, wait, why you gotta take it there?
Because that was the that was the legend. The legend was, it brought desolation, disease, all the
It is
negative
so
things that could
dark.
pop. Yeah. So here's what's interesting. So the story goes that when you're walking down the roads, and then you have a black dog following you, and if you're an alcoholic or you're a drunk, the dog. And this is okay. Let me just take it back a little bit. Okay, so
I better
if you're
not go
walking,
for a walk tonight.
if you go out for a walk, this black dog is following you, and if you're a very unrighteous person, that dog's eventually going to catch up to you, and he's just going to fuck you up. He's going to go and he's going
Well,
to rip you to shreds. So, and he's got
if
glowing
you
red
guys don't
eyes.
see me next week, you know what happened.
Yeah, damn unrighteous person. So, he's got the feet are hooves, like goat hooves. And in some cases, if you try like to attack the dog, he'll grow like a massive size. He can grow up to be the size of a bull, and all those kind of things. And then, if you're a righteous person and this dog is following you, then a white dog will appear and he'll brawl with the black dog, and it gives you time to escape. So they start getting into a fight, right? So that was the post colonization, pre colonization. Post is one day, um, God created a white dog to help mankind with it. Basically, same principle, same story. And the devil created the black dog, and so same thing. Only they changed the story a little bit. But the difference is that if you were walking down the road and you're drunk, or you can't, or you went to go. The term that they use a lot is a picaflor. So it's a man that like goes and a picaflor is a type of bird, like a hummingbird. He goes from flower to flower, and he helps kind of propagate and do all these things, right? So that term is used for a person that's a womanizer. You're going from flower to flower and you're pollinating. So that's where that term comes from, picaflor. You're going from flower to flower, and I think that a flower might be a euphemism for vagina. Anyway, so and if you're one of those guys and you're going around,
Hmm.
this black dog will find you and he will fuck you up. But if you're a person that has a good heart and you're out there, just let's say that one of your family members is sick, you know, and you're going to go at night to go visit them, and then the black dog is following you, then the white dog will appear and he'll fight the black dog. Or if you're walking, the white dog is following you to make sure that you arrive safely at your destination. Um,
What if
in
it's a
more
family
modern,
member you don't like?
well, then why would you go help
You're
them?
being forced to go visit them.
No, that's no. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, you know.
Sorry, I'm an
So
asshole.
no, you just need to be mauled by a black dog. No, so so in this case, um, the and what's interesting is that there's more modern stories that it now says that if you're an alcoholic and you're drunk and you're walking home, that the white dog will follow you to make sure that you get to your destination safely. You know, that no one mugs you, because that's a huge problem in places like El Salvador. If you're drunk and you're walking on the road and someone sees you, they're very likely gonna beat you to death, you know, or just beat you and rob you. So
That's why I'm not allowed to go there by myself.
yeah, and bad things happen. Anyway, so
I like going on drunken adventures.
yeah, that's not smart. You will last like maybe 10 minutes in that place, um, in a drunken adventure. Um, so
Anyways,
so in places like South America, they have the same concept: black dog, white dog, right? You know, they're
do they
polar
differ in
opposites.
size or appearance?
So in some instances, the the black dog always has like hooves like a goat, and you can hear them walking like clack 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 like a goat, you know, hooves on concrete. Or sometimes he'll have horns. Sometimes where you know he just it just varies. I mean, also they say that he can change his shape shift like a
Mhm.
different animal. You know, like he might be a dog, and then you throw a rock at it, and all of a sudden he shape shifts into a bull and he runs you over. You know,
That would suck.
yeah. So people, so it's just one of those things where the culture is just so deep in the folklore that somebody can come home and being like, man, I was just walking, you know, coming over to visit you guys, and you know, a black dog started following me, and they're like, el cadejo's out there, and they're about to send you to go get some tortillas, and they're like, hey, don't go out. I'm like, why? Did you just hear el cadejo's out there? You're like, oh shit. So yeah, so everybody stay
Oh,
inside.
wait. So, since you lived there, obviously, did anybody you know or yourself encounter one?
Yes, that's what's interesting. So they okay. I'll
Oh,
tell my story in a minute. Let me just tell this story. So El Cadejo shows up
damn it.
on in like you know farms that are way out there. You know, they're very in rural areas, right? And if you
Hmm.
have dogs, a lot of the times when a dog is acting weird, he's like wobbling around or he's very sick. It's because they say El Cadejo lo vergió. The Cadejo came and just fucked him up. You know, because he'll beat up your
Oh,
dogs. So also they say that when someone is and this is again the culture, when somebody you know is mentally handicapped, I'm just gonna say when they're mentally retarded, a lot of the times
oh
they
my
say that el
God.
cadejo that's the term, that's a medical term, look it up. um,
Go
so
on.
they're saying that el cadejo went and got them and it made them that way, you know. Or if somebody, and if an old person develops Alzheimer's and it's really bad, they don't know what Alzheimer's is. Instead, they're like, "Oh, El Cadejo must have gotten them," you know. So when
Oh,
I was a kid, when I was a kid, I was out there playing out in the farm later than I should have, and all of a sudden, we had six dogs, in that way. So the what?
huh? I said, where's the surprise? You were out later than you should have been.
Yeah, they're like, come home. When it starts getting dark, come home, because if you don't, El Cadejo's gonna get you. El Cipitillo's gonna haunt you. La Ciguanava's gonna kill you. You know, a Bruja's gonna come and kill you. You know, like all kinds of things. So everything's gonna get you. So coyotes are gonna eat you. So it starts getting dark, and I'm out there. I'm like, damn, I should really start heading home. So I start walking home, and my dogs are all following me. All of a sudden, their hair kind of like starts standing up, and they're kind of like walking, and they're beginning to slowly growl. And I'm like,
Oh no.
what is? I was like, what is going on? So I'm walking and I'm walking, and so I kind of see something is behind us, like in the distance. And then I'm like, what the hell is that? So I just keep walking and I'm walking and I pull out my machete, you know, and I'm just ready to just swing at whatever the hell's out there. So finally, the dogs, they keep walking. They're growling, but they're walking. So finally, I make it home. And when I make it home, I see something is out there in a bush and it's kind of staring and it turns around and it has the shape of a dog, a black dog.
Oh
So,
God.
so the next day, um, one of the neighbors, he was like, "Hey, I almost said my name. He's like, you were out there, you were out there walking, right? Like playing." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Good thing you didn't." He says, "Good thing you didn't stay late, right?" And I was like, "No, I left home early. I went home early." They're like, "Okay, good," because the dogs were all howling because El Cadejo was out there. And I was like, "Oh."
I was like, oh, how old were you?
I was about 9 years old.
You're
What?
okay. 9 years old, just carrying a machete around, just cultural difference. It's just my parents didn't even let me touch a knife when I was 9 years old.
Well, it was part of the culture.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's called a corvo. Anyway, so
I am barely allowed to touch one now. Anyways,
so yeah, that's that story. Then I encountered, and that's what's interesting is they call it the cadejo, like it's one thing. But then as I get
there's
older,
more.
and I'm beginning to think like maybe it's not the cadejo, maybe it's a cadejo. So I've encountered one in Idaho. I was um I was out on a
This last summer.
So here's the story. So I was out on the property and I was doing a property like because the dogs were acting kind of weird, and I'm like, damn it, like like I hope there's nothing out there because I have the chickens and the coop isn't fully secured yet. I haven't reinforced it, so I'm out there with a flashlight, and all of a sudden, like the hair on my arms begin to stand up, and I was like, okay. So I was like, what is going on? So then I kind of like began to take a step forward, and then the hairs on my neck began to stand up, and I have this feeling like a strong like vibration on my chest, and I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? So I have a flashlight, and I'm aiming the flashlight right. Got the flashlight, and I'm aiming it, and then finally I begin to see the shape of something standing there, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I kind of like hit the button again to make the beam like thinner so it goes further out, and I see the shape of a large black dog, and it's just staring at me. And I'm there, and I'm like, oh shit, okay.
I
So then,
remember this.
so then I slowly backed up, and then I was like, all right. So I just walked out, and I'm like, the fucking Cadejo's here. So
And you just like slowly like walked away, like, yeah, we'll just. I'm not even gonna deal with this right now. Like I
yeah,
probably would have cried.
I'm like, I can't. I have to work tomorrow. I cannot get into a physical altercation with this thing.
Tomorrow.
So yeah, that's an encounter that I had. So
No,
I
like
told my dad
bigger
about that.
dogs like that, they make me nervous in general. Like I'm fine with medium-sized dogs and like small dogs I'm fine with, but when you're like bring me around this giant dog that's like coming up to here on me, I'm I'm a little nervous. And then you describe this giant freaking black dog, and you're like, yeah, I have to work tomorrow. I'm not even going to deal with this. And you just walk away like it's nothing.
So here's what's interesting. Okay, so I told my dad about. I didn't tell him what it was, but I was like, yeah, something weird was out on the property, you know. And then he's like, oh, okay, and he's like, all right, well, I'll go have a look or whatever, because he takes this kind of shit very serious. He was visiting my brother from El Salvador, right? So he's like, all right, we'll go take a look. So then he arrived, and it's so ridiculous. He's like, where was it? And I was like, I just point like over there, I guess. And he like walks. and he's looking at the dirt, and then he picks up and he's like, "You see that?" And I said, "No, what is that?" He says, "Those are ashes." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "El Cadejo was here." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't even tell him what it was. I just said there's something.
Your dad's such a badass.
It was like he just goes and he like picks up dirt and he's like, "You see that?" And I'm like, "No, what is that?" He says, "Those are
He
ashes."
knows what's up. Pay attention.
Yeah. And then he always looks at me and he's like, "Mira, que estuvo el Cadejo." I was like, "Okay, el Cadejo." So
Why didn't you notice that before he got there? Pay attention. Just
what?
saying. How
So
dare you?
so I went to go get my witch killing blade out of my attic. The
No,
end.
no, go on. Carry on. It's fine.
Oh, and
Whatever.
that's this blade right. And that's this blade right here.
Whatever. It's fine. Yeah, not threatened at all. It's fine. I'm gonna
Uh,
fuck
uh,
you.
uh, uh, um,
Yeah, can't touch this.
yeah.
Touch. Yeah, can't touch this.
Eh, Anyway, so that's it.
You don't
So
scare me.
anyway, I just gotta do is bring a large dog. So it's that's a story. Okay, so that's just one of those things where it's like, okay, that's this region. Let's call it Central and South America. Like that's the lore from there. But then when you get further out, like in places like Europe, it's it's slightly it's slightly different. Like for example, in Scotland, I see the big dog. The dog was out there, and I said, "Oh, look at you! I am a Highlander, you Usland." So
I am the Highlander.
hello, Lander. Um, So when you go out there, they tell the story of same thing, a black dog, and they say that when he walks, he scorches the dirt because he comes from hell. So every step that he takes into this realm, he burns. So then I look back and I'm like, that's really interesting because that is the lore over there. It's like, oh, you can tell when there was a hellhound around. It's like, why? Because you see scorched earth and ashes. You know.
In Scottish lore, they are associated with hell and demons and demonic presence. Like they guard hell.
So that's what's interesting to me. So you have, and the lore has been like that since forever. Like, there's ashes and there's all kinds of things left
Mhm.
behind when one of these creatures is around. And this is like in the Nahuatl culture. The Nahuatl was around the time of the Mayans, you know. And so, like, damn, I don't know, like 1500 AD,
A little bit
so
older than you.
literally older than me. So, and this is before there was any communication between Central America and Europe. So around
Mhm.
the same time, because you find like old tablets, old writings, and all kinds of things that predates, a lot of like again around the same time, 1300s, 1400s, and they talk about legends of the black dog and all these kind of things with the same concept. They follow you. There's a white dog and there's a black dog, and you know, and it's just so interesting to me because I'm like I'm very skeptical about a lot of things, and I was a lot more skeptical when I was a teenager because I'm like, okay, this is all bullshit. But then as I got older and I started seeing similarities, I'm like, okay,
Oh,
they're
oh, really?
they're okay. Let me finish. Um, so I think there could be something here. Like maybe there's,
Hmm.
it can't be too much of a coincidence. So then I leave it at that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
or I'm just really, really tired.
Oh my God. I'm gonna hurt you. No.
So, all right. So what do
Anyway,
you got?
fucking guy. So you never brought up the Greek one.
Well, it's because there's a
Cerberus?
lot of them. Yeah, Cerberus
No,
um,
Cerberus is the
is
most famous one. He's the three-headed one.
yeah. I wouldn't say he's the most famous one.
That's not what I've read.
because Cerberus became more popular around more modern times when people had more access to Greek things like
Access to
Greek
the internet.
mythology. It's a more yeah, well, even pre-internet, people were like, because that was one of the trials of Hercules. You're supposed to pick up the Cerberus, right? And that was
Yeah,
his
that's
test.
true.
Got the Cerberus, pick him up. So
Well, can you imagine being asked to pick up the dog that guards the underworld? I mean, I'd be a little freaked out, wouldn't you?
not me, bro. Did you not
He
just
would.
see my blade?
He
But did
would
you not just
though.
see my? Did you not just see my blade?
That's a witch blade. That's for a witch like
It
me, and I'm not even scared of it. Do you think Cerberus would be afraid of it?
it dispels magic of all kinds.
Not scared of it. I can't dispel mine.
It's with the handle. So
You want to go?
no, no. So yeah, so Cerberus, yeah, that's another example of a hellhound, and then people, and there's an interesting phenomenon that occurs from that area. So every couple of years, you hear like a loud boom, right? It's just like
Oh, in Idaho, that's like every 3 days.
this all boom, like a loud boom, and in places like Greece, when you hear a loud boom, you're like, what? Because sometimes the boom is so loud that it rattles windows, and I'm like, what? And if you talk to like an older person, that's just Cerberus. He's barking, and you're like, what the hell?
Jesus.
Isn't that insane to think? It's like a loud boom. What the hell is that? Oh, that's just Cerberus. He's barking.
Well, maybe it's him preventing people because wasn't I think the story that I've read about him, anyways, is he allows people into hell, but he does not allow people out. So do you think maybe that's people pounding on the gates and
To
he's
get
not
out,
allowing them out? Yeah, maybe
maybe.
it's not him at all. Maybe it's the people he's not allowing out.
You know what's interesting is have you ever read the book The Divine Comedy?
No.
So the Divine Comedy was written by Dante, and it's got three parts. It's got it's got Inferno, right? So you've heard Dante's Inferno. It's like, oh, it's the seven,
Yeah.
levels of hell. So it's got Inferno, it's got Purgatorio, okay, and it's got Gloria. So you have hell, purgatory, and glory. So you have those three. Be quiet, Titan. So it's got those three levels, and in one of the hells,
Tell him what to
I
do.
believe it is. I believe it's the third level. I could be completely wrong, but the third level, it says that those that are gluttons are forced to basically lay there as they have to consume, and then the Cerberus runs up and chews them up, rips them into pieces, and then like the body basically heals, and Cerberus runs up and rips somebody else up. So that's the whole concept is they're laying there. So it mentions
Okay.
Cerberus and that.
You say gluttonous though, but isn't one of Cerberus's weaknesses? I read this and it stuck out to me because I thought it was hilarious. Drugged honey cakes. So I mean, it sounds like he's gluttonous for honey cakes that are drugged.
Um, so maybe, and you
I've
got to
read
look at
that
this in the
a few times.
yeah. I maybe the reason why Cerberus is also there, maybe it's because he's also being punished for gluttony. It's like you get
Maybe.
no, doesn't matter who you are, you're here. Only he's there and he's bored. He's like, I'm gonna chew you
Aw,
up.
I kind of feel
Oh,
bad for
Cerberus.
him.
Oh, I don't. He's a piece of shit. Um, so another story of another hellhound is the hellhounds from London, like hang around cemeteries. Uh,
Oh, what was that one's name? Um, I've had a friend talk to me about that one. Remind me what the name is?
okay, so you have a couple. They call them. Some of them are called hellhounds. One of them is called the
No.
the hounds of Doom. and
No.
there's another name for it. I can't remember, but it has a name. One of the stories is
No.
also that Aleister Crowley himself, was chased by a hellhound. You know,
Yeah. What were
and
they called?
I don't remember what they were called. Um, but they were just these black dogs. They have a name, and we're gonna have to look that up, guys. I don't remember.
I'm looking it up now. I know there's another name for it, but it's gonna drive me nuts. Keep
So
talking.
so these dogs, right? They're supposed to guard sacred places, or if you encounter a crossroad demon, what?
The Can I spell it and then have you pronounce it? Because I'm not gonna be able to.
I can try it.
Barghest.
Oh, that was way too fast for me. Um,
Oh my God. Barghest. That was as slow as I could have gone.
but bargains?
Sure.
Okay, well, okay. I'll clear up in the next video. Um,
Hold on.
so so supposedly these things can. So you're aware of what a crossroad demon is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they say that when you make a spark a bargain with a crossroad demon, he will. What do you want? I want, I don't know. I want to have the best hair amongst the land. So he's like, all right. So all of a sudden, everybody's hair just your hair doesn't get better, but everybody's hair goes to shit. Everybody's hair begins to fall out or it frizzles out, whatever. And then you're like, damn, I have the best, you know, hair in town. Then all of a sudden, you begin to hear like, well, your time's up. You got what you wanted. It's time to collect. So you begin to hear the panting, just of like dogs running. You know,
Oh.
in some instances, you can't see them, and some you can. But you hear the claws just like on the ground, just you hear,
Mm-mm.
and the panting is, and then finally something knocks you down, and you get torn apart, and then that's it. You're dead. And then your soul gets taken and it gets taken to the crossroad demon, which you sparked the bargain with. Like this was the deal. Now it's time to pay up. Time for you
What
to
a
pay the piper.
lovely way to go.
Just gets mauled by a dog.
That would
Um,
be terrible.
so
Yeah, you see
so
why I don't like huge dogs? That's fucking why.
yeah, no, dogs are monsters. So you have also now we're gonna travel somewhere else around the world. Well, we're gonna travel, for example, in the
Go
place of
to
Japan.
Japan. Yes, that's a good one.
So in Japan, they have what's cool about Japan about the Japanese culture is they have their yokai, which by the way, I just released some art. It's based on exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
So go check that out. And it says Nightmare Row in Japanese. So anyway, so they have several yokai, which are spirits or dark spirits, and each one of them represent a type of element or balance to this world. So when it comes to dogs in in Japanese lore, you have a dog that represents life. He's a white dog, and this white dog has clouds around him, and he comes down, and no matter where he runs, like flowers begin. This kind of begin to sound familiar. Like no matter where
Don't
he runs,
they
and
call they're often noted as like escorting dogs, like they're not negative at all. It's just they're helping
so
travelers.
okay, so this
Am I
dog,
thinking of the
right?
right one?
So yes, yeah, you're right on the money. So this dog arrives normally through a ray of light or a rainbow,
Mhm.
and let's say that your grandfather was a person that you know helped people, right? He fed the poor, he gave advice, he was revered, and people burned incense to him and gave blessings and gave a lot of offerings. So then this dog, I wish I remembered the damn name of this piece of shit. So it comes down and he kind of goes and not just collects his soul, but he kind of shows him the way because in some folklore when it comes to the Japanese, the afterlife is very similar actually to the Mayan afterlife. The Mayan afterlife,
Mhm.
it's like a maze, and you can get lost,
Yeah.
and you wander and you wander and you get lost for all of eternity, just trying to find your resting place. And you're
Mhm.
lost. There's actually they discovered, I think, in 2013, in like a Mayan temple, they found like a bunch of underground tunnels, which they what they called the
Oh, I
maze
saw
of the
that
afterlife.
actually.
And
Yeah.
there was bones, there was skulls, there was like all kinds of
That's
things. So I guess people,
so cool to go walk through.
unless you get lost and it's pitch black. And
It's
so this
find our
dog,
way.
always find the way. So this dog guides you. This dog's like, follow me, I'll show you the way. So this dog, you follow him and he'll lead you to the afterlife. He'll lead you to your resting place, right?
Aw.
And there's stories that wherever this person was buried and you go and you light the incense, you're climbing up to these places, which a lot of these sacred areas are like up on mountains. There's a shitload of stairs to get to them, and they could be dangerous because you have wolves, you have people that know that people are going to go drop off money. So there's people that wait for to rob you while you're going up the stairs. um,
That would
so they say, so there's people that tell stories that when they see someone with incense climbing up this mountain, if you look further down, there's a white dog that's following them. So it's like that dog is guarding them to go,
aw.
do your yeah, to go leave your offering. And this dog supposedly wherever he steps, like I said, flowers will bloom, grass will grow. It's kind of like the white cadejo, right? They say that wherever he walked, crops would grow, and same concept. And to me, it's so strange, you know, how the similarities. And then there's a black dog,
Yeah.
right? And this black dog is there to collect the souls of those that were very unrighteous, right? This is a yokai that has to feed. His job is to feed the forest, you know. So he'll
My
go in and
spirit animal.
he'll go and he'll just drag you kicking and screaming, and he'll throw you onto the ground. And the trees will devour you. Um,
Totally my spirit animal.
so And their story is that if you're a very unrighteous person, sometimes this dog will not wait. He's like, I can't wait for this bastard to die. I'm going to kill him myself. So takes you in there and he kills you. And no matter where this dog walks, they say it's almost as if he's leaving salt behind because everything dies. So there's fields which overnight all the crops die, and then they're like, this black dog was here. And it's so cool because when you look at Japanese culture, they have so much centered around animals. Like
Hmm.
uh, like they have this legend of a fox, which this fox is his job is to cast either really good blessings or really bad curses. And this fox is white with nine tails, you know, and he's a guide to people. Like let's say that you're lost in a forest and you're a good person, this fox will come about and kind of guide you out. And he'll kind of drop a tail towards you. And if you touch it, it says you will have good luck for the rest of your life. You'll have a blessing.
Hmm.
So, but if you're a bad person and you grab that tail, like without him offering you the tail, you will be cursed for the rest of your life. You know, and there was an interesting story of this man in Japan, which tells it. He tells a legend that when he was a younger man, he saw a fox with 9 tails, a white fox, and he says, and he reached up to grab it, because he's like, "You're coming with me. I'm gonna sell you." So he grabs it, and then all of a sudden he said that he fell down, and this man has been struck by lightning 6 times in his life. So like when you
Shut
look at
up.
somebody with bad luck, yeah, with bad luck, like this guy would, and yeah, struck by lightning six times. One of the times they
And
say
he
that he
died.
nope, because not people think that lightning will immediately vaporize you. Like not all the time. Some
I
will,
think I
and
would rather just die.
it's very painful, and it can leave a sunburn on you. But sometimes it can melt
A
the feelings in your
sunburn.
mouth. Yep, like a sunburn.
Yeah,
Um,
you just get a sunburn, guys. Nothing else will happen to you. You'll be
this
totally fine mentally.
this guy told a story that he was taking a shower, and then electricity went up the pipes and shocked him, and then they found him unconscious on the ground, and they said that
I
lightning
believe
struck
it.
outside of his house. Yep, and then that's yeah. So
I believe
anyway,
it.
so that's one of the stories. That's from Japan. Damn. Well, one day we gotta cover Ozaru, and Ozaru is the reason why they have earthquakes in Japan. Ozaru is a gigantic catfish. You know, which I'm
Well,
gonna do art.
he's in a lot of trouble for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, so this fish is what causes earthquakes in Japan. So it is a giant
That
catfish. There's
last
like
earthquake in Japan, that huge one that happened in Japan, what was it, 8 years ago? 10 years ago?
about
When
that. It
was
caused a
that?
tsunami too. That was
Yeah, it is.
2013,
I was living on the
I believe.
yeah, I was living on the Oregon coast when that happened. It was a little scary for a minute.
Yeah, it caused a
I
tsunami
thought
and
I was gonna
everything.
die.
They named a
I
beer
can't
after that
swim.
catfish, by the way. So
Oh
it's
Jesus.
it's not
Mm.
bad. Um, anyway, it's very flavored. Anyway, so
What?
I said it's
Anyways,
very flavored beer, and it's got the catfish on the can, named after the catfish. Anyway, so that's Japan. In India, they they believe that around the places of the dead, you will find a black dog, and if you do not heed this warning, you will join the dead. Very short. Supposedly,
oh really?
they are pets. Yeah, supposedly they are pets of Kali. Kali is the goddess of death. And in
Isn't it called the
in,
Mood Doll Hound?
I don't know what it's called. All I know is they have like really nasty
I
food in
think it's
India,
called.
and it stinks.
It's like Mudhol.
Huh?
Is how it's spelled.
You
Moodal,
you
I
might
think
be
is how it's pronounced.
you might be pronouncing it right. Um, but yeah, that's all I know about that. Is
I
that it
don't
kills you, gives you
know if
warning.
I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Who cares? No one cares. I mean, people when they
The
type in
English
India, they're
one's
looking.
not that bad.
It's nasty. I hate it. I've been to India. It's gross.
Have you
Anyway,
gone to a good Indian restaurant?
you mean Americanized Indian food?
Yeah.
Where they use American ingredients? Um,
Yeah.
what time? One time I had an aunt that and she put curry in my mashed potatoes. I haven't talked to that bitch for like 15 years. Anyway, so Egypt also has you know the a story of a type of a black dog. It's the god of the underworld, Anubis, and he's a
I
jackal,
was just
and
gonna
it's
say
because
Anubis.
and that's because they see even to this day. I mean, there's still shallow graves. People just get thrown out there when they die, and dogs will actually go and eat the corpses. Um,
Oh my
Same thing happens in El Salvador. When someone dies and the person is homeless or has no family to bury it, they're just out in the street and dogs will eat them.
God. You're acting like
Yeah,
that's normal.
Well, it is. It's part of like 99% of the world. It's it's not common. It doesn't happen here because we're pampered. It's America. I like it. Um, so they have that lore. It's very quick. And in Hawaii, um, it's pronounced Hawaii, man. Just call it Hawaii, whatever.
Yeah,
In
I was
Hawaii,
gonna say you don't have to be so dramatic about it.
who cares? Stupid Hawaii. All they are is just like all they look like Hispanic people to me with like a mental disorder. They're like, "Hey, mijo, lika, lika, lika." Like, shut up. Anyway,
Stop it!
so yeah, they believe that whenever there's a storm, because in places like Hawaii and islands, small islands, a storm is just death. You know,
Yeah.
so whenever there's a storm, they say that if you look up at the highest peak and there's a storm coming in, you see a black dog, and it's because he's bringing death. You know,
Yeah.
so people leave offerings. Anything from slaughtered pigs to flowers, kind of like hoping that the next time this dog comes in, they're like, all right, I won't stay, and they'll just leave. You know, so
I mean, I would.
yeah. I mean, could you imagine? Those flowers are beautiful, by the way. They sell these flowers. There used to be a website. It was called Books, I think. It was like Books.com, and they used to collect these flowers from the side of a volcano, and
Ooh.
the ashes from the lava and everything would supply like a very special nutrient to these flowers.
Mm-hmm.
They're called. Some people call them like fire flowers because of where they come from, and they're like anything from red to blue. Like really. So like when you watch the movie, you ever seen Batman Begins? You know the okay that okay Batman Begins. The League of
Thank you.
Shadows
Go
utilizes
on.
this. What?
I said thank you. Just go on. Why is that even a question?
I don't know. So that blue
I
flower
haven't
that
seen movies. Get the fuck out.
they use to make the fear gas and the fear that blue flower,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that flower itself is actually that flower that is on the side of the volcano. That nice, yeah. So there you go.
Oh, I never made that connection.
Yeah. So
Makes sense. Oh.
anyway, the Cherokee people believe that. So when you go off into war, because a lot of people don't know this about a lot of people when they think of Native Americans, they think everybody's holding hands, walking around in a circle, spinning, and environments and all that kind of shit. When in reality, that's not true. In reality, the Native American tribes were very, I'm just going to say it, savage. They would go to other tribes and they would rape and murder. And sometimes they did it for sport. They would do it because it was the thing to do. So they would go. So then they said that when they had too much blood on their hands, before returning to camp, a shaman had to cleanse you. Like you can't bring all of that death with you, otherwise, you'll bring a curse onto our people. So they had to cleanse you of your
Yeah.
shadow self. So when they cleansed you of your shadow self, they said that it took the form of a man, like a shadow being, and it would run off. So when they say that when you see the shadow man, some people believe that that's like a component of nothing but negative just compressed into one single, like, you know what I mean, in one single form, and it takes the form of a shadow person. So
Yeah.
that's why they're so dark. So they believe that when there's enough like death in the land, that all this negativity and all of this will form like into a dog, and then this dog is what brings disease and death onto a land. So
Gross.
yeah. So when they see the black dog in their
Go get
culture,
one
it's
for
like, okay, the what?
So let's go get one and we can have it for a pet. Have a Nightmare Road show dog.
Yeah, could you? I have. By the way, guys, there is a Cadejo shirt. So if you go look at Nightmare Road at the T Public, you guys can go get a Cadejo shirt. Anyway,
Talking about us, like, you know, have an actual dog, he could like be on a third camera on the show or something.
Could you imagine if, like, I don't know, every single time this dog comes into the house, all the produce rots and everyone, around me gets really sick and some of them die?
I didn't say it would live at my house.
Just live out in a shed somewhere and just set up a laptop there and everything. Like, all right,
Live
just
at your
call,
house.
call in, and have it on a leash. Be next to Titan.
I'm a cat person.
Yeah, you behave yourself. So yeah, that's it. That's the black dog lore. And then you see, there's so much. Type in black
There
dog
is, yeah.
culture, and you just get list of almost like I dare to say this. Every culture around the world has a black dog. You're not gonna find a culture that doesn't have a legend of a black dog. And to me, it's not a coincidence. There's too much there. There's something there, you know. And the
Yeah.
stories may differ
No,
just
go
a
on.
little bit. Just no, go ahead.
No, I really wasn't gonna say anything, I promise. Jesus.
Um, Stop it. Um, so yeah, so all the stories are similar. The origin might be a little bit different, but almost everything they do is the same. They walk around, they leave, sulfur and ashes everywhere. They bring death. The
I
white
would
one.
say the Japanese is the most different out of all of them, though. I would say it's the less negative, less evil of them all, if you think about it.
Yeah, what the hell happened to the Japanese Empire? Should take an example from that. Anyway, um, yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of speaking of the Japanese, in the Philippines, they have also the story of a black dog. Same concept, and they tell their stories that when the Japanese invaded the Philippines, that a lot of the soldiers were, either killed by the Filipino Igorots, which are like the mountain people, or they were devoured by black dogs because they were attracted by the evil energy.
Which would you rather, being eaten by a black dog or being killed by a Filipino islander coming at you with probably a spear, whatever it is?
Here's a funny story.
Which would you rather?
So, um,
The Filipino's gonna kill you no matter what. You're not
no,
like
not me,
getting out of it.
not me, bro. Um,
No, I had to throw that out
Probably.
there because you were gonna be like, I could take on the
Well, number one, I can. They're like 4 feet tall. Um,
Filipino.
so actually, I have a couple of friends that are bloodline wise, they're Igorots. They they came to the United States after
Your ass.
after Nah. The what?
They could probably kick your ass.
Oh no, I'll fuck them up. Um, unless we're stick fighting, they have
Double
Kali.
dutching.
Kali, yeah, bring it, Romeo. So they do watch, by the way. So they have Kali, which is their martial art. It's stick fighting and also
I'm
sword
betting on your
fighting,
friend, not you.
or Eskrima, you know. And that's a pretty effective martial art with stick fighting and everything. I'll fuck you up, Romeo. So don't try it. So
I'm
anyway,
gunning for Romeo. Sorry.
I do it. I don't care. Anyway, comunista. So yeah, so the story goes when they invaded because they're around World War II when Japan had a military. They were going to these small civilizations and they were just killing for sport. So, for example, they went to the Philippines and they went on the shores and they had swords, um, and these swords were service swords, and then they would just take children or women and for practice they would slice them in half or cut the head off and take pictures. So they did the same thing in China when there's actually a great story that's from. It's not the story itself is not great. I mean, great by massive. I don't mean great by like it's good. It was called The Rape of Nanking. So the Japanese forces arrived in China in a place called Nanking, and then just for fun, they like did like a huge gamble, like a huge bet over who can rape the most people. And they went in and just started raping. So historically, it's called the Rape of Nanking. You imagine a bunch of like pixelated, blurry dicks coming at you. Anyway, so it's just one of those things where in the Philippines, if you have a dark in the Philippines, if you have a they say if you have like a dark heart or a darkness about you, it's almost like
Hmm.
it's almost like a magnet to these
Oh,
dogs.
really?
So they'll find you and they'll kill you. You know.
You
So
probably shouldn't go to the Philippines.
oh me?
Yeah.
No, I'm an American. They love Americans. And so they actually here's an interesting fact. In the Philippines, Douglas MacArthur was a great general in the United States during World War II. And his famous quote was, "I shall return." When he completed his duty, and he returned 2 months later, and he shouted, "I have returned!" And he kept fighting the Nazis. So he actually gathered a bunch of Filipino forces to help fight back the communists during, Nam. So he says, "Just give me." He said, "Give me 1,000." The what? Oh,
I
he
said,
said,
oh,
"Give me a
interesting.
thousand." Yeah, he said, "Give me 1,000 Filipinos." He says, "and we could take over any country." So that's what he said. And so, because they were so they wanted to name him King MacArthur. So any Filipino out there that are like from the Philippines, not the Americanized because they don't know anything, any like actual Filipino from the Philippines, you say, "What do you think about Douglas MacArthur?" They're like, "Oh, I love him. He was actually a senator for the Philippines. Later became an ambassador." So anyway,
Oh, I
so
thought you
yeah,
were holding your phone. I was going, have you been holding your phone this whole time?
no, I'm not that talented. So
It looked
anyway,
like you were holding your phone. I'm sorry.
no, 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 not me, bro. So so yeah, so that's what it is they say that the dark energy like brings out. It's almost as if these dogs get formed. This is in the Philippines, in their stories, get formed by the negative and hate and evil. Like they just sprout out of nowhere because your emos creates them. So they have a lot of purification ceremonies in the Philippines, so you can purify just in case, you know. And these dogs, by the way, they'll go into the house and fuck up anybody that gets in the way of them getting to you. So they have like a lot of purification ceremonies, not just for you, but for your whole house,
Ah,
just in case. So that's it. The black dog or hellhounds.
interesting.
This was a this was a good episode. So guys, loot by Lottie.
Wow.
Information's on the bottom of the screen. Loot by Lottie. On your first purchase, type in Lucky Loot, get 10% off. Silver Witch, go
Yeah.
get your spell bags. Type in Silver Witch on Google, you can find her. What else? Oh,
I
Shadow
think I'm
Nation,
wearing
Sean Burris.
all, yeah. I'm wearing
Shadow
all Loot My
Nation.
Lottery jewelry today.
Oh, nice. You look magical. Um, so yeah, Sean
I don't think
Burris.
I've shown.
No, you haven't. So go ahead and hold that up. Shadow Nation, guys, go check out Sean Burris, the Ghost Man.
Yeah. Check him out, guys. Sorry. Oh, can you?
Oh, that's
No,
cool.
sorry. That light. Jesus. Sorry, sun, guys. I'm trying to block
No,
it. It's not
no,
working.
no,
Can
it's
you
fine.
see it?
Aya Fatima. Yeah, Aya Fatima.
Yeah,
Um,
she's
so
pretty
the Aya
amazing.
Fatima. So yeah, what else do we have to plug here? Oh yeah, T Public. Go
Merch.
check out
Oh,
the
we've
art.
done merch like 4 times.
Yeah, so merch. Head on over, get yourself a mug, get yourself a shirt. I got new designs up, and
Yeah,
damn, and that's
keep
it.
bragging about yourself.
So okay. Shh, you hear that? You hear that? All I can hear in your background is there's a black dog going to collect. So anyway, that's it, guys. That's all I got. So
Really? You think a black dog would come out of this?
Yes,
No.
I'll throw my black dog at you.
No. I will
So,
punch
anyways,
it.
has
I'm
you
just
gonna
kidding. I
punch
would probably
Roland?
snuggle it.
Why would you punch Roland? He's like the
No, I would
nicest
probably
dog,
cuddle him.
and he's old.
I would cuddle him and
He,
I would steal
he's
him and I would never give him back to you.
well, I mean, you don't have long. It's only like
Ugh,
2 more years. He's old. He's an old
he's
dog.
so cute.
So
Anyways,
remember, guys, to always look both ways, especially if we find ourselves on Nightmare Road.
Deuces. Do I have to press the button too?
Yeah, you have the button. I don't.
Okay.